Where can you find gourmet organic coffees, a friendly hometown atmosphere, and beautiful views of Humboldt Bay and beyond? It's Has Beans Cafe, open every day at 2nd and I Street in the heart of Old Town Eureka. This is Charles Douglas of the Humboldt Sentinel reporting here from the Access Humboldt Media Center in Eureka. Join us for this special report, the campaign kickoff event for Xandra Manns. She is one of 3 candidates for the 3rd Ward seat on the Eureka City Council. Find out what her plans are for Eureka, particularly neighborhood revitalization, neighborhood beautification, and how the city can work better with the county and with social service agencies to deal with the homeless population here in Eureka. And don't forget to tune in every Thursday night at 7 for our regular series, Sentinel Interviews, where we interview all the candidates running for office here in Humboldt County.
My name is Carol Binder, and Xandra Manns has a lot to offer the city of Eureka. She has 30 years of experience as a city planner in the Bay Area and understands the inner workings of city government. In Eureka, she has served on the Design Review Committee and the Traffic Safety Commission. She has been involved in neighborhood issues and frequently speaks at city council meetings. More importantly, she has a vision for our neighborhood in West Eureka. While she is aware of the problems we face, she sees the beauty of our historic homes and gardens and the possibilities of the future. She spent 2 years planning for the street trees in our neighborhood and brought the neighbors together to plant the trees. Some of us had never met before and have since become friends. As I walk around the neighborhood, I see people taking pride in their trees by planting flowers next to them. Since we planted the trees in our immediate neighborhood, people in other neighborhoods have planted trees. Vision and action. I would like to introduce my friend and neighbor, Xandra Manns.
Thanks, Carol. I guess I'll just start right off telling you who I am, and most of you know already, but I'm a transplant from the Bay Area. I guess in the paper yesterday I was listed as a longtime resident, 9 years, and so I made it. I'm politically influenced by several philosophies. The first one I would have to mention would be Small is Beautiful, that Amory Lovins and his wife Hunter have been espousing for 50 years, that big isn't necessarily good, and that the soft path of technology, where we don't use a lot of high-tech and polluting industries, is better. And the next one would be the Green Party. I worked in the Green Party, and I'm actually still registered Green. I believe in the 10 key values. And the ones that I really care about are ecological wisdom, social justice, nonviolence, grassroots democracy, community-based economics, personal and global responsibility, and sustainability. Beyond that, I've been recently inspired by the Slow Cities movement that started in Italy, that recognizes local dependence, local sustainability, and it espouses these other ideas of small, low tech, and it also takes us back to our roots of how we used to do things, and it's also shared with the Slow Foods movement. I guess they had a festival in Italy where people came, and everything was wonderful, but the reviewers said everything was wonderful except the food was terrible. And all the food service people were insulted, but when they thought about it, they found out that that was right. So they went back to their roots and started making things the way they used to, real food. And then the last one is the local vor, sustainability, self-reliant, self-sustaining communities that a lot of people up here are interested in, and I would like to see happen. I guess part of the reason I'm into these things is because I grew up in a third world country. I lived in India till I was 16 with only one visit to the U.S. And I saw how people live off the land. I saw how 3 times as many people lived on 1/3 the space compared with what we have here. And there was a lot of poverty, but people were able to make do with less. And so I want to promote that idea of how we can do with less and not consume so much. We all know about oil and how it's ruining our lives. We need to cut back a little. So anyway, let's get back to city government. I had 30 years in the private and public sectors working as a city and environmental planner. I worked in big cities like San Francisco and small ones like Alameda. I did consulting work all over the state in small cities. The firm I worked with for a while was expert on citizen participation. That was their forte. And so when they did a plan, they made sure that the citizens participated in the planning. And that's something I really miss up here because there's a lot of lip service given to citizens speaking out at hearings and being thanked for speaking, but there is no participation. Once you've said your piece, that's all that really matters. They move on to whatever they're going to do. That's something I want to change. When I worked for these firms in the Bay Area, I also became interested in historic preservation, partly because I think historic houses are beautiful when they're restored, but also because I see saving historic buildings as an energy conserving tool of planning, and also saving old buildings is labor intensive, it's not high tech, it provides a lot of jobs. And these are the kind of things that fit in with these other disciplines that I mentioned above about low tech and slow cities. I've been working with the Heritage Society in Eureka, and one of the things I did was made copies of this book called Rehab Right. It tells you how to rehab an old house, and it was used in Oakland. And we've sold almost 300, or we've given away actually almost 300 copies that show people how to take care of their houses and restore them where they need it. And we also have been putting out a book called Sustainable Solutions for Historic Houses in California that was, it was made for a project in Samoa and put together of restoring houses. So in the design review committee, I worked on signs, little rehabs, and it was pretty low key because design review was not really seen as being very important. But I got quite involved with the cell phone towers because I see cell phone towers as really dangerous, and don't want one in my neighborhood. And we are permitted to oppose them on aesthetic grounds. So every one of the ones I've seen so far has not been able to pass my scrutiny based on the design criteria that it's supposed to meet, so I voted against them. However, I ended up being taken off the design review committee, and now I'm on traffic safety, which is proving to be pretty interesting too. Trying to do a traffic calming plan for the city. So the real reason I'm running for city council, however, is I really love Eureka. I came here when I could have gone anywhere in the U.S., maybe anywhere in the world, I guess. And I fell in love with this little city on the edge of the bay. I see it as an incredible location and close to a lot of wonderful outdoor places, remote enough to be really quiet and peaceful at times. I was impressed with the architecture. It's some of the best I've seen in the country of 19th century architecture. But one of the things I noticed is in downtown and the west side districts. I mean, I start to wonder why does a city that has such a beautiful site, such a heritage of beautiful old buildings, and such a nice climate where, you know, we're not burning up in heat while everyone else is, why is this area so blighted? Why do people look down on Eureka and say, you know, you're from Eureka, you mean But-Reka, and things like that? I think that things have gotten better since I'm here, but we still have this this low image of ourselves that we project to others. And I think it's partly the leadership. The leadership doesn't seem to want to do anything great in Eureka. I've made suggestions about things to do here, and all I get is, well, we can't do that because. We can't do that because. And other cities in this area are thriving and looking good, and Eureka is still stumbling along. The Jefferson School is an example. This was a really good opportunity to do something for the neighborhood, the 3rd district, which we've always complained about blight and neglect, and how the government has overlooked it. We went down there with the planners from City Hall one day, and they were exclaiming about the Victorians like they had never seen them. I wanted them to look at Victorian garages. I went out and photographed them and brought my photographs in. They sent their planners to Fortuna to photograph the garages. I thought, don't you know, we've got better than this right here in Eureka. So there's kind of a resignation and indifference to doing anything better in Eureka, an acceptance of being backward and trod upon. One lady told me, Eurekans don't have the right to talk about traffic problems on 101 because they asked for 101 to go through the city. I mean, how many years ago was that? So anyway, I would like to say I live in the west side of Eureka, and I have a neighborhood. I like being in my neighborhood, and I think that we have many neighborhoods that are really, really wonderful. We have camaraderie and solidarity between the neighbors. So when I see politicians looking at big box solutions or big factories for jobs, I have to say, we've already successfully implemented small business planning and support in Eureka and Humboldt. Big box and factories aren't going to provide the jobs we need. We need to work with the county to get regulations streamlined and less expensive so people can open food service, restaurants, catering. We don't even have a commercial kitchen in Eureka that the public can use. So a lot of these things would provide jobs that people could do out of their own homes. When I see the politicians talking about crime and all they can think of is hiring more police, I have to say, wait a minute, what's causing the crime? And I have to conclude that we have a city that has decided to team up with social services in the county and HSU's School of Social Services and the feds, and be a big depository for people to come who are in need. And we have a huge industry going on making money off the poor. We bring them here. We want them to come here because people have jobs making money off the poor. And, you know, I'm not completely against that, but the way we take care of the poor is what really strikes at my heart. You know, we put them in a crowded little neighborhood of deteriorated houses and get mad at them for not fixing up the houses. We blame them for hanging out on the streets when there are no parks they can go to. There are no benches in Old Town they can sit on. Where do you expect them to go? I think that if we have this big housing industry that so many people's jobs, not in Eureka, but in the whole county, depend upon, we need to take better care of the people.